You are listening to Small Business Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives small business owners the straight talk on productivity, time management, business systems, leading your teams, strategic decision-making, and mindset. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the productivity specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. Today is episode 333, the top 5 biggest lead generation mistakes with Marion Wagner. If you're a small business owner who wants to learn effective business strategies, improve time management, and elevate productivity to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. I'm looking forward to our conversation with Marion. You get to meet our guest, Marion Wagner, today. Marion is an income growth strategist for online service-based entrepreneurs. In her career, Marion has specialized in helping online entrepreneurs create six-figure game plans without a large following on social media. In this online space, there's a lot of opportunities to improve and create a new business. Marion teaches a combination of psychological and strategic approaches to transform her clients' approach towards organic lead generation and income growth. She's the creator of the Leads, Leads system, and hosts the Small Audience Big Income podcast. She lives in Denver, Colorado with her husband and 2 children, and 2 high-maintenance but equally important dogs. I wanted to have Marion on and have this conversation with her because many of us have the struggle of how much time do we spend on social media, and if we don't have a large audience, can we have a big income business? And I know that to be true. My audience is quite small relative to many others, but that's not a direct reflection on the size of my business or how I get to serve my clients. And I wanted her on so bad that we actually interviewed, and the recording was gone. We lost it at 11 minutes. I have no idea what happened. We had a major technical glitch. She was so kind and generous enough to reschedule so that we could have this great conversation for you. And I'm so glad she's here. Before we dive into our conversation with Marion, I want to invite you to take my next level business owner quiz. If you are growing a business and want to know where to focus your time, energy, and attention on to get your business to the next level, then take my simple 3-minute quiz and find out what is most holding you back so that you can focus on those areas and get to the next level quicker and faster. After the quiz, you'll get a curated playlist in your inbox with specific episodes that address those challenges so that you can implement those strategies right away in your business. Hit pause and head on over to amberdelagarza.com/quiz. Again, that's amberdelagarza.com/quiz. And now let's meet our guest and get to the straight talk. Welcome to the podcast, Marion. How are you today?
Oh, Amber, thanks so much for having me. I am great.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear it. And, I have to just be honest and tell my listeners that you are so generous to re-record this conversation. Of all the years of podcasting, it doesn't happen often, but the recording, we lost it at 11 and a half minutes. And it was such a great conversation that I just said, please come back. My listeners need to hear our conversation about lead generation. So thank you so much for being so generous with your time and coming back.
Absolutely. You got to love technology.
I know. And before we just recorded, I was sharing oh my gosh, I don't even know what went wrong. I had 5 interviews that day. You were the only one that malfunctioned. So fingers crossed, we're doing this again and only one more time. All right. Well, before we dive into the top 5 biggest mistakes business owners make with lead gen, I would love for you to share a little bit about yourself and, why do I get to talk to you about lead generation? There's usually a story behind there. So I will let you share with us.
Okay. Well, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. I started my first online business about a little over 14 years ago. I was a school psychologist at the time, and I had my summers off and no kids. I was bored. I'm like, what am I going to do? And I thought, I think I'm going to start a blog. And I had no business starting a style blog, but apparently that's what I felt compelled to do back then. So I started a style blog and I started looking around and seeing people actually growing businesses with their blogs. And I thought, okay, maybe I could do this. So I just, in every sense of the word, failed forward and put probably 30, 40 hours a week on top of my full-time job into growing this blog. And I like to joke that I had, after a year and a half of like blood, sweat, tears, time, money, all the things, I had 3 readers, very consistent readers. and one of them was my dad. And
oh, geez.
yeah. But, I'm so grateful for that time period because it was really about discovering my voice and who I needed to be in order to be successful and be worthy of, the 4th reader and the 5th reader.
Yeah.
And I was driving home from work one day and I was thinking like, what is wrong? I'm doing all the things. Like I'm doing everything that I see other people doing. What's going on? And I had this kind of aha moment in the car and I realized that's the problem. You're doing all the things that other people are doing. Why don't you like burn everything down and just create the blog that you would love to read? Be you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did. I just kind of scrapped it and I started writing with my own voice and being weird and quirky and just, me. And it just exploded. And I went from my 3 readers to over 250,000 page views a month and partnerships with like Adidas, Maybelline, like Wayfair, big names. And I just like, whoa, what happened here? And then I kind of tapped into what lead gen, what partnerships, collaboration, all of that whole world. And I fell in love. And I started my second business and grew that to 6 figures in 9 months. And now that's my business now is just teaching mostly female entrepreneurs how to generate consistent, predictable, cold traffic into paying clients.
Okay. So I'm curious, was your second version of the blog stylist as well? Or you did a whole different topic?
No, it was a completely different niche that was in the health and wellness.
Okay. Well, that I love that you just listened to that little voice and you leaned into just being you, which I would imagine felt easier for you as well.
Right?
Yeah. When I hear about blogging, I also tried that route. And I'll be happy to say that that's exactly why I podcast today. I hated blogging. I hated it so badly. And like you, I saw all these people that were doing it. It was all the rage. All these people are being successful with it. And I couldn't find my voice in writing. Like I'm not naturally a great writer. And I felt very disconnected from the content that I was putting out because I was worried about it being grammatically right and polished and all these things. But then I would leave the office and drive home and then listen to podcasts. And, in hindsight, you would think that was really obvious, but it took a lot of drives listening to a podcast before I was like, I should podcast. And so very similar, but mine was not a version 2.0 of blogging. It was go to the podcast where I felt I could be more myself and, share my personality.
But I love that you shared that because it's an example of you must do what feels aligned for you. And just because someone has tapped into success with YouTube or Pinterest or Instagram doesn't mean that you must be there too. Yeah. I think there's this pressure in the online space to be omnipresent and to do all the things and do it really well. But like you said, like I personally love to write. I love writing. So, I'm writing a book. I just finished my book. I love to write. So that's a natural path for me. But like you are fantastic behind the microphone. So that is effortless compared to writing.
For sure. All right. Well, let's dive into the top 5 business mistakes business owners make. Where would you like to start? Are we talking are we starting at number 5 and counting down, or are we going to hit it with number 1 biggest mistake?
There's not any particular order to this.
Okay.
I think
they're just equally big mistakes. I got it.
Oh, super important. No, I think maybe one or two for someone listening right now, one or two might stand out to you. Like, oh, you know what? That actually feels relevant to me. It all depends on where you are with your business.
Right. All right.
So we can just
dive in.
Okay. Well, first, I feel like though it's important to just kind of say this blanket statement about lead gen that oftentimes we get so micro-focused on making lead gen the scientific process and all about strategy, but it's really just about people and relationships. And the online space is a human business environment. So I don't know. I just kind of always say that because we can talk about all these quantitative aspects to lead gen, and really it's
connecting.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So that brings me, so we'll just say number 1. Number 1 is thinking that you need a big audience to grow a big income. And what I mean by that is it's reassuring. And I see it a lot where people have an audience of, let's say, 300, 400, 500 people and think that they can't make a significant income when maybe those 300, 400, 500 people are actually following you because they're interested in the solutions that you offer for the problem that they are dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah. So why do you think that most business owners are like, it has to be all or nothing, like a big audience, and that's the only way to success?
Oh, I think it's just we're so locked into the vanity metrics, and we see, your head's on a swivel with social media in the online space. And so you look to your left and you look to your right and you see people with huge audiences doing big things. And you think, well, in order for me to grow, I need more people. I need more traffic. And where this turns into a mistake, it's true. It's a fact that when you do have more traffic and more cold eyeballs, you have the opportunity to sell more and to build a bigger income. But don't lose sight of the fact that you have people in your audience today, like right now when you're listening, who need help with a problem that you actually solve.
Yeah. Yeah. And back to your blanket statement about this is a human connection. Those people have seeked you out. They connect with you. They want to hear your voice. And, maybe your solution isn't absolutely unique, but it's coming from you and your voice. And so don't discount it. Build those relationships. I can just agree with you and attest to the same thing. I early on was like, oh my gosh, we'll use your number, like 500, we look at downloads for the podcast and, you're like 1,000 and you're thinking it needs to be more and more. But I have been reminded by my husband and other people is like, could you imagine speaking to a room every single week to 1,000 people?
Yes.
Are you kidding me? And I think that we've normalized it in the digital space that it needs to be this huge, huge audience, but sometimes it loses that connection. Would you agree with that? Like it just becomes more what you were saying, like more just strategy, just get the email out, just get the post out instead of, okay, I have this 500 people or I have these 1,000 people that want to hear from me. What do they need to hear? And really thinking about them.
I have clients with an email list, one in particular, email list under 1,000, and she has a 6-figure business. And it's because of the way we've designed her offers and the systems that we have in place and the problems that she solves and how she presents it as very unique and sexy. And again, it's her, like you said.
Yeah.
They want to work with her.
Yeah. So I think we agree. We're not saying a big audience is bad, but enjoy the journey. You can make a big business and 6 figures and make the offers and serve the audience at whatever size they're at along your entrepreneurial journey.
It's just about helping in your content. Yeah. And so, yes, you want a big audience. We all want to grow our audiences, but just don't discount the people that are there right now that are possibly ready for partnership.
All right. Excellent. Okay. What's the next mistake business owners make?
The next one is, I don't know if this won't be controversial. I don't know. we'll see. But spending 80% of your time creating disappearing content as your main lead gen strategy. So we talk about how I always liken social media to like a side dish. Like a Thanksgiving table, you have your green beans, your mashed potatoes, or scalloped potatoes, whatever is on your Thanksgiving table. And that is social media. It's your side dish. Your entree is the turkey, and that needs to be more legacy, long form content that is searchable and relevant a year or 2 years from now, like a podcast or YouTube or a blog, something that's really value added and it doesn't expire.
Yeah. Yeah. When I think about this from a time management and productivity aspect, are you going to put your time and energy into something that someone can stumble upon it 6 months from now, a year from now, and connect with you? Or are you going to put all your time and energy into something that disappears, as you said, in 24 hours? And I think that connections can be made, but then it gets into that hustle of then you have to do another one and another one and another one and another one. In my business, like you said, the podcast, right, is like the middle of the spindle. Like it's the middle. And then we piece off like short-term content for Facebook or Instagram or different places. But the podcast lives on. And when you're talking about evergreen long-term, I have been now podcasting since 2017. And there's new people always coming and they'll say, I've gone back and started listening to episode number 1. And I'm like, okay, don't do that. Like, don't do that. It was not as good back then, but if you really want to. But that means that they're finding value. Like no matter what I thought about when I first started podcasting, they're finding it valuable and it's serving them. And then now they can build that rapport, the know, like, trust. And, the small content, would you agree, is like more entertainment and like, I don't know.
It's still important, right?
Yes, it's important, but you have this hustle mentality. You have to replace it because it's gone.
Yes. And I feel as though content is kind of like, it's like test driving a car. Someone's not going to, let's say, purchase your $2,000 program or package. They're not going to buy a $50,000 car without taking it for a test drive. They want to look at your content and binge listen to your podcast or watch you on YouTube or watch your stories and see that you're a real human. You're not AI and, computer. Yeah. And then, like you said, that know, like, and trust, they feel like, okay, Amber is someone who helps other people look at these success stories, look at, I relate with what she's talking about, and I've never heard that strategy before. I just tried that and it worked. I want more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I'm trying to remember, you just called it 80-20. So we just want to flip it, that 80% of our time is on the long-term evergreen content and then still spend. Is that what you said? Still spend?
Yeah, especially when you're working towards those first, like 10, 20K months, you're focused on two main things, right? You're focused on marketing and content creation and getting out there. And then you also are working on selling and with your offer development.
Right.
And really, it's 80% creating content, like you said, that has legs, that's going to legacy. It's going to stay there and work for you while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
And then you can take it and kind of pull out those pieces and create your smaller form content without too much frustration. Because it's frustrating sometimes to sit down and be like, okay, I have to make an Instagram post. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And then you end up spinning your wheels, wasting time. We've all been there.
Yeah. I mean, when we're just talking about batching and efficiency, if you take the same content that you spent all the time to come up with for the podcast or the blog or the YouTube, then having it show up in different ways on different forms, it takes less mental energy, less time. And it's really a very productive way to still hit the multiple places, but taking your time, energy, and attention and focusing on the legacy content. I love that.
Yes, perfect. I love that you bring the productivity, you wrap it all up.
It's literally how I see the world. It's all good. It's like, I have to, why would we do that? Right. And so to me, that's why you would do it. It's just a much more efficient way of still getting similar results.
Yes. Amazing.
All right. What's next for us?
So when we talk about lead gen, it's very tempting to start thinking about paid advertising, and this is not a knock on paid ads. I've done them in the past. I'll do them again in the future. But a mistake I see is paying for paid advertising when you don't have a proven offer.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by proven is that it sells on autopilot right now. Like it's a no-brainer. It's a duh offer for your ideal client. And so paid advertising is just a way for you to get it in front of more people that would make it would be a duh offer for them.
Yeah. How do you actually measure that? So we just said, and number one was you have a small audience, right?
Yes.
So you have a small audience, you make the offer. How do you determine if it's successful enough to then put paid ads to it? Because it's not like you're going to have a huge amount of sales with a small audience. What's that measurement? How do you determine if it's worth putting more eyeballs on that offer?
So I think you have to do your own little A/B testing. You know, I think about, let's say you have a smaller, obviously selling high ticket on paid advertising is very difficult unless you have name recognition, unless you're the Tony Robbins or the, Alex Hormozy. But if you are just saying, hey, I have this top of funnel, $4.99 offer with these bonuses, and you offer that to your email list as a test and see how many people, what percentage, and there's no magic percentage, but for you to be like, hey, that was really good. Yeah. And maybe you put yourself on a podcast tour and that's your opt-in.
Yeah.
See how many people are actually downloading it and what's the ROI on that time investment.
Okay. So don't just go right out of the gate with a brand new offer and test it with money behind it. Test it to your audience. All right. Excellent. I have spent my fair share of money on funnels in years past. I haven't done ads in several years. And again, it's like, I had to experiment. You see it working for other people. I'm like, surely this is going to work. I hire the people. I hire new people. I do it again. And while my business sells to my email list, what I found was that my offers connect with people that feel like they know, like, and trust me. And that's very hard to convey what just my business model and what I have to offer in ads. And yes. I don't know that I figured that out right away, but boy, that was a mistake. I spent a lot of money trying to sell to people that didn't know me at all.
I kind of joke, it still stings, but I always joke that I paid for one of Zuckerberg's little tropical vacations.
I'm sure you had a lot of them.
Him having fun with my money.
Yeah, exactly. All righty. So lead gen, just be really cautious and make sure you're amplifying and not testing in paid ads.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes. All right. Next one is creating multiple offers and multiple funnels when you're still working towards those 10, 20K months. What is that saying that Tony Robbins has, that complexity is the enemy of execution? And you can build, again, like simple one offer that's just dialed in and really compelling to your ideal client and make one simple funnel from there.
Yeah.
And then from there, once you've hit that home run, then it's easier to duplicate and build another offer. But especially with just lead gen, you can do effective, really successful lead gen with one offer.
Why do you think people are tempted to do multiple funnels? Because that's a lot of work. So why do you think people are doing that?
I think it's a lot of shiny object in the industry. It's maybe testing one thing one time and determining that it didn't work. I'm not going to try to improve it or tweak it. I'm going to burn it and start over. But again, I think it's a matter of also not knowing who your ideal client really is. Maybe you're trying to talk to 500 people versus just talk to one person. And that's when content creation can be difficult, is when you feel like you're having to talk to everyone. And really, in your mind, when I write my blog posts or when you do your podcast, you're probably thinking of one particular person in mind.
Yeah. Even now, So I used to have the name, the avatar was Sam. Like I would write Dear Sam and like write the email. Then I don't even know a Sam, but in my head it was Sam. But right now, like when I create content, it's through inspiration from clients. So like when I write often, not all the time, my clients are going to be like, which episode's me? But oftentimes I'm thinking of like, what would I tell this particular client? Because I know this is their challenge. Or what did I tell them? Or what do they need to hear? And I have to think not in general, but really like if I was speaking to one person. And that's how I write my solo content. I have found it to be very helpful in just the creative flow and just getting it out of me. But yeah, speaking to the masses, again, do you like, I guess, would you say that that comes from like scarcity? Like I need to have something for everybody because I'm not sure what's going to work. And it's kind of the mindset of like of scarcity instead of I don't even know if the opposite is abundance here, but confidence in what you have to offer is what they need and want.
I think it's that. And I also think a lot of business owners are really, they have helpful hearts and they
Mm,
honestly want to help everyone.
yeah,
And
yeah,
they don't want to, turn anyone down, and they hear someone talk about a problem and they think, well, I can create a solution for that. And then next Tuesday, someone's talking about another problem. I can create a solution for that. And then all of a sudden, you have all these fragmented little solutions without a common theme, or they're not maybe duplicatable, or I'm sorry, you can't really scale them
right,
into
right.
something. So yeah, it's just,
I have a girlfriend and she's amazing at the funnels, but I would say she has a lot because she has so many ideas. Like
yes.
just like and she wants them to live and be out in the world and like that's her motivation is she just always has these ideas of the next thing. And
I think entrepreneurs are also, they make the worst managers sometimes
mhm.
because like our brains are always just like firing and ideas and excitement and energy, and sometimes we got to be like, okay, simmer down and get focused and just do one thing really, really well.
Yeah. So do you help your clients with funnel building?
I help them with offer creation
Mhm.
and selling with authenticity, and creating those first, again, those like 10, 20K months. So that's kind of my sweet spot. But in terms of the funnels, I like very simple, effective, compelling funnels that are, I don't do a lot of like branch off here. If they say yes here, then they go down here. And like it's really
Mhm.
about keeping things streamlined and simple until you're building your team.
All right. If you're listening, I wish you would have told me that many years ago because I had those offers. I had the if this, then that, if this, then that. And then they stream out, they like connect and really complicated and took all the classes and did all the things. And again, you have to scrape your knees and hit your head against the wall sometimes. And then I ended back with I'm going to take them through a funnel. I'm going to serve them. Either they want it or they don't want it. And
Yes.
and that was where I got to. But it wasn't until I got myself so frustrated with thinking that the only way to do a funnel correctly was what now we're both agreeing was highly complicated setup management. For me, I'll speak to myself. It complicated not knowing where it wasn't working, where it was broken in the funnel, or like where I was losing people because it was just too complicated.
And that, I think, we go through those seasons in our business, and then it makes you kind of feel defeated and frustrated. And like, that's no good. So
Yeah. Yeah.
if you want to have a fun business, you can just think, okay, I have permission to simplify things. And
hmm
yeah.
hmm All right. What's next on our list?
Next is the number 5 one. And this, this one is not prioritizing email.
Mm.
Even if you don't like to write, if you just like, I just have my podcast, I just want to do my podcast and talk. You want to at least let your email list to grow an email list and let them know that you have a new episode out and what the topic is and where they can access it. Because email is just, there's nothing that really converts as well still
hmm
as email in my opinion, my experience.
Yeah. And it's the only thing that you really own, right? So you can, I've had friends, their accounts have been shut off on Facebook. I've had, I guess podcasting is a little bit more in control of it, but
Mhm.
you don't know if the algorithms are going to show them your posts or this or that. But in email, you can be consistent with it. You can decide how often and you're going to serve them. So, how does somebody start building that email list if they have not currently been prioritizing it?
Just start. Again, like it's so simple to start an email list with the tools that we have today. 14 years ago, it was like a science project. Like it was so difficult. But now we have Flowdesk, which is so simple if you're really tech adverse, ConvertKit, all these like MailChimp, all these like services that they're pretty, like a lot of them are free. They have free accounts for when you are under a certain number of subscribers. And I would just say you just have to create one little opt-in, one little lead magnet, which I will link. I think I gave you the link to, it's 127 like converting lead magnet ideas broken into by niche.
Yeah. So making an offer that's free, and in exchange, you get their email address.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now people are doing it very effectively on Instagram using ManyChat. I'm sure everyone listening right now has seen that, where if you have, again, for me, I'm sharing this 127 lead magnet ideas. I can talk about a lead magnet and then tell people, hey, comment with magnet below and I'll send this to you. And then that's a system that works while you're sleeping. So people can comment magnet and ManyChat will send them the opt-in link.
I did not know that. I literally thought, I've seen where they're like, oh, put this word down there. And I'm like, oh, surely they have a VA that's like then getting in their DMs and like sending it off. But you're saying it's all automated? I had no clue.
It's all automated. And
okay,
I'm currently setting it up in my business right now because I want to automate as much social media as possible. But yes, it's very effective and it's free.
So when you send them the lead magnet, do you exchange an email address even if it's on Instagram?
So you can have it set up so that they comment, like you send the DM saying, hey, here, I'll send you the link. What's a good email? And they can email or put their email in there and it'll send it. But what is more effective and fewer steps is to just send them like, thank you so much. Here's the link to the 127 lead magnet ideas. Enjoy.
Oh, and then they put in their email.
They put in their email to the opt-in. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Excellent. And then is there a standard, like should your email list be emailed weekly? Should they be emailed twice a week, once a month? Like what is the recommended frequency of contacting your email list?
I love this question because I think you could ask 50 online business owners and get 50 different answers. My preference is at least once a week. If you are emailing once a month, you might as well not even do it because they'll forget. With how their inboxes are nowadays, people are going to forget. If someone's truly interested in what you do and like they're solution focused, right? They're looking for solutions to this problem. You want to be top of mind. And so you want to show up at least once a week.
All right. All right. And so if you skip a week, then you go back and you go commit to the week. And they don't need to be long emails, just something of value in their inbox each week and being consistent
don't
with
say,
it.
hey, sorry, I've been MIA. No one notices. No one.
They're going to assume it just was in their spam box.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden your email shows up again.
Yeah. No one pays attention. So just write as if you've been doing it all along and ask people to engage, like ask for input, have conversations. And again, it's about helping until you're creating content to help that one person.
And then what are your thoughts about doing call to actions for or making offers with your email list? Is that something you do in each email, like with a PS, or is it these large launches where it's only a few times a year? What is your preferred
I think it depends
method?
on your niche and your relationship with your audience. I personally love to sell and open doors for my audience to join me at their convenience, not mine. It's like, not just because I'm doing a launch, like, okay, you must take action now. I love to do it in the PS as a passive. I think that's really fun to just let people know if I have a one-on-one opening or if I have something coming up.
Yeah.
Pay attention to that. So I truly believe if you have a business, you want to use your email list to sell.
Excellent. Okay. So can you just repeat those 5 for us and summarize for the audience?
Yeah. Let's see.
Yes. So these are good. So these are the 5 biggest mistakes, and we want to do something different. And we talked about that in each of these.
And so number 1, thinking that you need a big audience to grow a big income. Number 2 is spending 80% of your time creating disappearing content as your main lead gen strategy. Number 3, paying for ads when you don't have a proven offer. And number 4 is creating multiple offers and multiple funnels and complex systems when you're still working towards those 10, 20K months. And the last one is just not prioritizing email with your lead gen.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And then you have a link that we will share in the show notes, and I will share the specific link in the outro on how to get your hands on this lead generating idea opt-in that you have for them.
Yes.
And how can our listeners learn more about what you do and your podcast, which I was a guest on your podcast. So if you want to share how people can find you.
Yeah. So my podcast is called Small Audience, Big Income. And that's also my Instagram. I'm on there. And my other Instagram is Marion Wagner Coaching. And my book is coming out. I don't know when this will air, but maybe my book will be out. And that's called Small Audience, Big Income also.
And when does your book come out?
It should be coming out in about a month.
Okay, excellent. So we will make sure we link out to the links on where you can find your book. And I'm sure they'll be on Amazon and various places. Yeah. Okay, awesome. And the name of the book one more time?
Small Audience, Big Income.
All right, awesome. Well, congratulations on that coming up real soon for you. Thank you so much for being here. And thanks again for your time and re-recording with us today so that we could get your wonderful tips and strategies.
Thanks, Amber.
I have loved having you listen to this episode of Small Business Straight Talk. I sure hope you found my conversation with Marion to be helpful and insightful. And I would encourage you to take action. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So based on my conversation with Marion, what is one thing that you can take away and implement in your business today? Make it big, make it small. It makes no difference. And it can even just be a mindset shift, which is what I was most hopeful for in this episode. And I know she gave some great strategies, but what I was most hopeful for with this conversation was that we could walk away with a mindset shift of not shitting on ourselves, not comparing ourselves and thinking what exactly the social media needs to look like because somebody else's does. And does that equate to success or unsuccessful in our business? If this is a mindset shift, congrats. Take that with you to help you make better decisions with where you invest your time. I have a question for you. Should you and I be chatting? Should we be talking about what that might look like to work together and have me be your business coach? If you're looking for a business coach that can help coach you, hold you accountable, teach you, then we should chat. Schedule your discovery call by heading on over to amberdelagarza.com/call. Find out more about my one-on-one coaching or my group coaching opportunities, and I look forward to meeting with you and speaking with you soon. Again, head on over to amberdelagarza.com/call. If you are new here, I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for tuning into the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. And if you've been here for a while, I want to thank you for tuning in each week with me. If you found today's episode to be valuable, be sure to share it with another business friend and don't keep us a secret. So that's my straight talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.